Hello there, my name is Kristen Nardolillo. I'm a psychology student at UCF, and today I'll be discussing an article I read in the New York Times titled What a Messy Desk Says About You, written by Gretchen Reynolds a little less than a month ago. Basically, Miss Reynolds tells us how a messy versus a clean desk can predict your work ethic and health based on this prior research that was done. What we find out from these experiments is that an organized person is more likely to be healthier and have a better work ethic than the unorganized person. However, an unorganized person would have more creative ideas than the organized person. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the person themselves is organized, but working in an organized area will actually give you better health, according to this research. So if I were to further research this topic, they did this experiment on college-age students, so I would be curious to know if older adults would have the same results. And if I were to predict, I would say, yeah, older adults would follow this same pattern because, as college students, I believe we are adults. Just because you have more working experience, I don't think that necessarily makes you more creative or less creative or healthier, unhealthier of a person. You follow those traits throughout your life, or follow those patterns, I should say, throughout your life. So I don't think age would really make a difference, but that is something to consider. And if I were to follow up on this research, that's what I would find interesting. How does this article relate to our course? Well, in the experiments that they performed on these college-age students, they did use random assessment or random assignment when performing these experiments, and that is when you randomly choose your subject to experiment on. They weren't just choosing psychology students or just choosing students that work at a desk all day. They chose anyone that was in the range of college age. And we learned about that in our course. Another thing we learned about was questionnaires. They did give these students questionnaires. Although they weren't necessarily looked at for result purposes of the experiment, they were given to these students, not as a measurement tool, but more for busy work while they were observing the students. And another thing I want to point out is that it was in a natural setting. So what does that sound like? Field work, right? Field experiment, which we also learned about in our course. And that is when you're in a natural setting, you're not in an artificial setting. So that is how it relates to our course. And thank you for watching.